Hey guys, Thrasher here. Let's talk about Legends, right now. Okay, so in this video I want to talk about where Dragon Ball Legends is. We're about 2 months into the game at this point. How does it compare to other gacha games? Do I think it's on track? Where do I think it's going? But before we get into all that, I just want to mention everyone that's been watching my channel. We hit 1,000 subscribers today, and I just want to thank everyone who watches, everyone who's commented, anyone who's commented back to someone asking a question, helping me out so I don't have to go through every single comment. I see you guys, and I just really want to thank you. So moving on from that, let's talk about what's going on in Legends. So we know that there's a new banner coming out probably Wednesday, so in 2 days, which will probably come with another hard mode, another chapter in hard mode. I've been looking at the way normal mode levels compare to hard mode levels, and the next chapter, chapter 6, is not going to bring us enemies that are any stronger than the Raditz we're fighting at the end of chapter 5 right now, so chances are that will not give us character level ups. That's just gonna pretty much be status quo. So we'll get some new characters, we'll get some new hard mode missions, nothing crazy. I think the next hard mode mission added will increase level cap, because at that point, if you look at the level of units in chapter 7, they are considerably stronger than the units in chapter 5 and chapter 6. So we're talking about, if they compare 1-to-1 like they have been, we're talking about missions where you've got 3 level 1500 units, 3 level 1700 units, so it's going to get pretty insane. So that's cool. That's stuff in the very near future. But let's talk about what's actually going on in Legends right now and sort of look at other games that have been very successful for long periods of time and where they were at this point. So the most obvious comparison here is Dragon Ball Dokkan Battle. It's the closest game. They're both in the Dragon Ball universe. They're both RPG-ish. One is a fighting game, this one, and the other is more of a puzzle strategy type game, but they are very similar. So one thing I want to mention about this game versus that game had more story, but this game, in my opinion, has more content at this point. Dokkan Battle, I've played since the game was, I think, 2 days old, maybe 3 days old. And the thing about Dokkan Battle is it was a ton of fun. I remember the very first weekend I played it with my buddy Thunderscrub. We were planning to go out that weekend. We found the game and we literally sat on his couch for I don't know how many hours until our phones died. So the game was awesome when it first came out, but it ran out of content quickly. And I think that's what people are running into with Legends right now. The content isn't coming out fast enough for people who are playing the game a lot. And we'll get over that hump, but chances are what's going to happen is a good amount of players are going to burn out, just like Thunderscrub and I did back when Dokkan started 3 years ago. But as the game matures and they can get more content into it, it will take us longer to catch up to the amount of content they're adding. So outside of content, let's look at sort of how the game works. I think one of the amazing things that people are not really paying attention to is, yes, there's not a ton going on with the PvP right now. There's new characters coming in. A lot of people are saying the PvP is stale because they're doing the same thing over and over again. You're running into your Broly teams, you're running into your All Saiyan teams. It's pretty much the same thing. But if you look at things like the androids, you look at Final Form Frieza, they are implementing new mechanics into the game that are broadening the combat as a whole. They're not just adding new characters, they're actually adding new playstyles. So if we give it a little more time for things to mature, I do think the game is going to become a lot broader on the combat side of things. And another thing to mention as far as PvP goes, when it comes to other players, I'm sure most of you have run into at least a couple cheaters, and if you get to the higher levels, rank 40 and up, there's tons of cheaters all over the place. But one thing I want to mention is almost every single time you see a way that someone cheats, and it doesn't seem like this because you're sitting there grinding, playing PvP. It seems like the cheaters have been there forever, but whatever it is they're doing to cheat, if you actually look at how quickly the developers are implementing a fix for any specific cheat, it's really fast. It's just going to take time for them to continue finding all these different cheats and weeding out the ways that people cheat. So it's a game of building a bigger wall and the cheaters build a bigger ladder, but eventually it's not super feasible to keep building these larger and larger cheating ladders. There will always be cheaters, but I've never seen a company stomp out cheaters as quickly as I have with this game right here. So that's a very big positive, even though it doesn't seem like it's in the greatest situation right now. Okay, so back on the player versus environment side rather than player versus player, what are the things that we really need to be seeing outside of, there's obviously going to be more story mode missions coming. We know that there's 2 more difficulties, so the units are going to get stronger. But one of the things that we need outside of just more things to fight is we need different ways to go through events and different event styles. So the event battles, the scout battles, those are cool outside of the regular story mission. But one of the biggest things that I want to see is co-op. They actually have a system set up here where we truly can have co-op battles of some kind. You can't really have that in a game like Dokkan or most of the other gacha games I play, just because of the way that the game interacts with the server. But because the interaction is real time with the server when you're in a multiplayer environment in this game, it's very possible for them to bring in multiplayer raids. And I think at some point we will get that. So if you are a Dokkan player, think of your Dokkan Fest. So you've got your Brolys, your Cells, your Super Saiyan 4s that you're going in, and those are your big raid battles. Well, they could do that with this, but rather than you just going in and fighting some guy who's got a ton of health, you may do it with multiple people on your team. Maybe you bring 1 unit, or you bring all 3 units, and then you have a friend or multiple friends who come in and fight that with you. I think there's a good chance that we move towards something like that in the future, and I think that's something that would really add a lot of depth to this game. The last thing I want to mention outside of how well I think the developers are handling the speed of implementation and the speed of getting rid of cheaters, the last thing that I think is important to mention is how free-to-play friendly this game is. So if you go play Dokkan Battle, or you play Brave Exvius, or you play any of the other gacha games, they're not free-to-play friendly in the same sense that this game is. I don't care how much money you spend on this game, I have not spent a dime yet, and I guarantee that if I am as skilled as you are, I can beat you in battle, period. I don't care how good your units are, because there's no immense advantage to spending a lot of money on these units. Yeah, your units might have 5% more stats, maybe even 10%, but that's not going to change the battle. Whereas in Dokkan, if you've got a rainbowed out LR Super Vegito, you are going to steamroll absolutely everything. So another huge aspect there is they've got the World Tournament in Dokkan. If you have Legendary Broly, you are going to dominate anyone who doesn't. And that's not how this game works. You can make almost any team work in this game, or at the very least, you have units to make a team that will work in this game. And I think that's massive. I don't know if that will continue forever, but I think they've done an awesome job so far. So if they can continue that, I think this game will have an extremely long lifespan. And outside of that, I think that's really all I wanted to cover with this video, sort of where I think the game is going, where it's at. I think it's in a good spot for what it is and for how long it's been out. And one last time, I just want to thank everyone who's subscribed, everyone who's watched. Even if you haven't subscribed, just watching my channel and supporting me that way, awesome. I really want to thank everyone. And that's really all there is to this video. If you have anything you want to add or any thoughts on where you think the game is, throw it down in the comments. And if you guys like this content, make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.